Good evening, and welcome to another asinine version of Diatribes from the voice of Doom. Now here's your acidic and acerbic host, voice of Doom. Good evening. I'm going to try to do another diatribe. I think the sound's not too bad this time, so I haven't done one in a few days to a week because my computer's down and I either put it on a Kindle, which is a terrible way to record, or my kid's computer, which I'm using now, and I don't think he says it's okay, but I don't know if he's real keen on it. But I have to do a diatribe because if I don't, I'll go stark raving mad because I need to get my crap out. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what I've seen on YouTube, which is pretty much all I watch right now, so I get everything from there, and believe me, there's a lot. I'm going to touch on a few subjects that have come and gone without me commenting, but I will talk about the bodega. And what I noticed in that video, the recording, is I saw kind of despair on the guy's face when he got pushed into the chair by a thug who thought he could just do whatever he wanted. And that's good cause and effect for you right there. That's good karmic retribution, because you walk into a place and think you're just going to shove some guy around, and then you're gone. You're dead. And people should think about that. A lot of people should think about that. That your little bravado of my girlfriend was dissed, so I'm going to go in and make it right, get you dead. But I didn't think much about that. I thought more about the guy who was working in a bodega, and he's not old, but he's not young, and I'm sure he's put up with his fair share of crap for years. Come on, New York City bodega, give me a break. So he killed the guy, and he went to jail, and he was gonna be charged. And I think that the powers that be got the message that people are not going to put up with much more of this crap. And if you say you're going to be put in jail for protecting yourself, I think a lot of people are going to take notice. So I think they decided to drop the charges on that guy. But what I noticed, if you look at the video that they've shown 10,000 times, is the look of despair, like, I just want to get through the night. Why do I have to have this guy coming into my face? And maybe he snaps, and I don't blame him. So I'm not going to pass any judgment. I don't know all the facts, but I do know that when people get pushed into despair, it's kind of like, I want to end it now. And he died, and he might have led a good life. He might have redeemed himself down the line and been a good person, but he died, and I'm not going to cry crocodile tears for him. But I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. And the other thing is about YouTube is the thing about the internet that has made life totally different for everybody since the early 90s is that people live in their communities, and they might be a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big, whatever they are. They only can perceive of their surroundings But when you have access to the whole universe, it is disturbing and can be sometimes even discouraging, because you see people that are so great that you think, I'll never be as good as that. And it can be dismaying, because you feel like, no matter how hard I've tried through my life, I'll never be as good as this person who's 12 years old. And I've seen that in music, and it's discouraging in a way, and it's also, not discouraging, but it's uplifting, let's just say, to see people just that have talent. But, artists are very sensitive about their abilities and what people think of them. And when you see people that are so great, that are 10 or 12 years old, it can be discouraging. But I'm not going to let that get me down, because there's other things that'll get you down on that internet. And I've been watching this thing. It's actually pretty addictive. I like the guy. I'm going to try to write to him and tell him, write, or whatever people do, text, send a bunch of words that string together, and if you get too many characters, then you're done. But I like this Odin's Men, or whatever it's called. All he does is go through TikTok and comment on the people. And he can go on for the next 10 million years and never stop, because there's so much madness and insanity that there's no end to what he can do, until TikTok goes the way of MySpace or some other thing like that, which will happen. But then there will be another outlet. Now, I've been watching this stuff, and the thing about TikTok is it's young people, it's Gen Zers, and it's mostly people that have some bone to pick or have some issue with the way they want to be and what everybody else wants them to be, or what everybody else perceives them to be. And it's very confusing now. And I'll tell you right now, I know more about this than almost everybody on the planet. So don't even argue with me. The more you push this pronoun business, the more you're going to make homophobia and transophobia be real. Because I'm afraid. And I'm kind of right in the middle of it. If you look at my diatribes, I have a cornucopia of experience with all those things. And all those bearded guys with eyeshadow and eyeliner, or all these people that have altered their looks, that's fine. I don't have anything against that. If they want to do that, now I don't know how they get a job, but that's their problem. But when I see them, I realize that in their acerbic insistence that things go their way. If I want to dress up like a dog and crawl around and pee in the corner, then people better put up with that. Now that's what's happening, okay? So don't even say that's a ridiculous example. Now, pronouns. It's getting on my nerves. Okay, I'll get onto this other subject later, but as far as the pronouns, there's entities on this TikTok that say, you've been misgendering me. Now, whatever you look like is what people are going to perceive. If someone comes in and they have a beard, I'm not going to say yes ma'am or she, because I think deep down, oh, that's a female to male, transgendered. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say there's a man. And if you come in and you're, you got makeup on, you look good, and wearing a dress or wearing whatever, and have a purse, and I'm going to say she. I don't care what you are, what you look like, what I perceive is what I'm going to say. Especially when you're working in a restaurant. You don't have time to really look at everything. So if I see someone that looks like a boy and I say, here you are, young man, or here you are, sir, and then I look at them and I go, well, it may not be a boy. And they could get upset over me calling them sir because they're a lesbian. So let's get into this pronoun business. Now, I've seen people on this TikTok and they're like, they're misgendering me and they don't call me she. And it's like, well, you don't look like a she. Or especially the males, females to males. They misgender me. They don't call me he and him because they're transphobic. And it's like, well, you kind of look female. Especially a lot of these lesbians that keep their female form but want to be called he. Now, I remember working at the Elks Club in Waikiki as a busser back in the late 70s, and every single waiter was gay, every single one of them. So they had their own little cadre of communication, the way they talked to each other. They always referred to each other as she, always. And I was like, okay, well, they're gay, and they're really gay, and they're not making any bones about it, so they call each other she. Or when they're referring to somebody else, they say she. And it's like, okay, I don't care about that. I thought it was kind of off-putting in some ways because I was always transgendered and wanted to be a real she, but as time goes by, you reconcile with that and say, this is reality and this is how it's going to be, and I'm not going to go into any weird modes to change myself because it's just going to cause a ruckus. And then what would I do because I don't like guys? So that's going to be a problem. But I'm older now and I don't have to worry about such things. I do what I want. But I was just, as a prefacing this pronoun business, is now they're coming up with all these things: they, them, thix, thex, mix, max, mix, nix, and they're coming up with new jargon every 10 minutes. So what's going to happen is as follows. Nobody's going to want to even talk to anybody that they perceive as gay or transgendered or gender fluid or non-binary or queer or X-dified, whatever the hell they are. They'll come up with 50 more next year. Nobody's going to want to talk to them, and then they're going to say, you're homophobic. And it's like, no, actually, I'm not homophobic. I just don't want to talk to you. You understand? Because I don't know what to say. Oh, that's transphobic. No, it's not transphobic. It's just, I don't want any trouble with you. So you see, you've created your own problems. Everything was going fine. Everything was fine until the powers that be decided to make a big political football and political issue out of this transgendered business. You never should have allowed that to happen. And when you allowed the high mucky mucks to start getting their little fingers into that issue, you ruined everything. And you'll find out later how you did that. But there'll be all kinds of people, and they can do all kinds of things, and we'll have dogs and old men dressed as little girls in offices, and you'll have to put up with it because that's how they want to be. And there are people out there like that. So don't say, oh, that's ridiculous. There will be old men dressed as little girls in accounting offices and insurance offices and doctors' offices, and you'll have to deal with them. So I really didn't say much. I just wanted to get a diatribe in. I could say more, Oh, I did want to comment. It's going to go too long. A lot of, like a great majority of these TikTokers are teachers, and I'm convinced that the public education system wants to get as many non-binary, who knows who the hell I am, but you call me he because I look like a butch girl, whatever. They're all teachers. So everybody better take that to heart. I'm glad my kids are grown. God, I'm glad. I do not, if I had a kid right now going to the public school, it would not happen. I would sooner do it at home. I'd do the trouble of teaching them at home, and they could socialize in different ways, because that would not work. It's not going to happen. So I'll leave it at that. I think I said what I wanted to say, and it's almost 16 minutes. That's it. Have a good night. I hope I can get this on YouTube. Good night.